What's up, guys? It's Rossi LeGrand here. I just wanted to talk to you about a few things that were on my mind today. It's been a long couple of days. I worked till like 2 o'clock in the morning on some projects, and then my son woke me up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, my 2-year-old son. So I didn't get much sleep, and I worked out today, trying to get in shape, and I went out and had some fun. And some thoughts came to mind the last couple of weeks, but especially today, it all kind of came together and made sense, and I wanted to share it with you, and it's something that we can all relate to. And basically, it's fear, all right? So what happened today is that I took my daughter out target shooting for the first time. I've been wanting to do this all my life. I'm in my 40s, and I don't know why I waited to do stuff like this, but I always thought it would be fun and always be something to do with my kids, too. And eventually hunting and fishing and things of that nature. And so anyways, we go shooting, and she is petrified, absolutely scared to death of shooting at first. So when we first drive up, okay, we drive up to, it's an outdoor range, and we first drive up, and before we even get into the area where you've got to put on your eye protection and your ear protection, you can hear the, boom, the banging of the guns, and she starts jumping out in the parking lot, and I'm like, uh-oh, this is going to be interesting. And so we go in, we sign the paperwork. I'm a member of the place, and we get in there, and she is shaking, literally shaking. And every time somebody shot, she would jump, just literally jump, and then she started covering her ears, even though she had 2 sets of ear protection on, mind you. She had some earplugs in, and then she had those kind of earmuff noise, whatever you want to call them, for shooting. And she's got these big things on, and every single time a gunshot went off, she jumped, and then she started walking around literally like this. I thought she was going to cry. And I was trying to help her through those fears, walk her through those fears, because I knew she was going to be all right. One of the safest places to be, in my opinion, is on a gun range with a whole bunch of people with guns, because not much is going to happen because there's a bunch of people to stop the bad guy really quick. So I was trying to just tell her, like, everybody here is nice, they're helpful, which they were. They're super friendly. I don't have much experience. They come out and they tell you what kind of gun you've got and how to use it, and so that kind of relaxed her a little bit. But they had 20-minute cycles, okay, where you could shoot for 20 minutes, and then you would have to stop, back up and safety range, and then you can go out and change your targets or move your targets, whatever it is that you want to do. And so I made the first 20 minutes showing her how to do it, actually shooting the gun, going through the process, and she's still just scared to death to do it. So finally I put her on the gun. And this was after one of those 20-minute cycles, so she got a fresh 20 minutes. And for the first 20 minutes, she literally was so scared that she could not pull the trigger. And I was going through all these things. Okay, what are you scared of? Okay, I'm scared of the sound. Well, you've been hearing the sound for about an hour now. Nothing's happened to you. You should be getting kind of used to it. I understand that it's scary. I was nervous the first time. I'm not going to lie. I was really nervous the first time because I didn't really know what to expect. But I got kind of frustrated, to be honest with you. I was like, listen, if you don't want to do this, go wait in the car, and Daddy will have some fun. And I knew it was kind of going to compel her to actually go through it. So I get her on there, show her how to hold the firearm, and butt it up against her shoulder, so the kick back and all that stuff. And she still wouldn't pull the trigger. So finally, I just said, hold the thing real tight. Get your hand off the finger, or off the trigger, and just hold it real tight and look at the target and just practice feeling it. And I pulled the trigger for her. And of course, I scared the bejesus out of her. But the gun went off, and kind of jumped, and she jumped back and almost looked like she was going to faint. And I mean this in a literal sense, that she kind of just fell out. And I was like, baby, are you okay? And I said, so what happened? And she said, nothing. I said, it made a loud noise, and that was it, right? It kind of jumped back a little bit. She said, yeah, but yet she was still scared. So we go through this again and again and again. Finally, I'm in her ear, because I got to be close to her because she's got the ear stuff on, and I'm yelling, do it, do it, do it. And finally she pulls the trigger, and boom, she gets this little bit of confidence going, right? And then I show her how to do the bolt action, and she does it like a champion, just bam, does it again, boom. And all right, yeah, I'm rubbing her shoulders, good job, baby, coaching her, no women in my house are gonna be scared women. We're gonna tackle this head on. We're gonna conquer your fears. I'm telling her all this stuff, right? And she does it again. Then she does it again. We reload. She does it again. And it starts to become easier and easier for her. And then she hits the target. I think it was like 50 yards out or something like that. She hits the target and she becomes elated. So this 12-year-old little girl that was in there just, scrunching, literally just holding her and just jumping and looking like she was going to pass out, hands shaking, turned into this flower of confidence. And now she is enjoying herself and having the thrill of her life, something that I wanted for my kids to have all of my life, and it finally was coming to fruition. But here's another experience that I had. Same gun range, same gun, same situation, but I took my 5-year-old son out. My 5-year-old son goes out there, grabs the gun, and just starts bam, bam, bam. All the guns around him that are going off doesn't faze him a bit. And he's out there like a champ. He's grouping. People are standing around him like, how is this little kid doing this? I'm scared, like, hey, son, maybe you should teach me something, 5 years old. My daughter's 12 years old. And so it started getting me to think, well, is it because he's a boy? Of course not. Of course not. It started getting me to think about different levels of fear. And I started to internalize that today and started thinking about the fears that I had in entrepreneurship, the fears I had raising a family, the fears that I had going shooting, why these things happened, and how I was able to overcome them, and how the most successful people in life can overcome these fears. And I kind of broke it down in 3 categories. I'm not an expert on fear. I read a book maybe 25 years ago, maybe not that long ago. 20 odd years ago. I think it was called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. So I read a book on it years ago, but when I started to think about the fear, I thought of it on 3 levels. And again, I'm not an expert. I'm not trying to profess this to be an expert. But the 3 levels were primal/instinctual, projected fear, and then internal dialogue. And I broke it down in those categories because I was trying to understand the difference between my 5-year-old and the difference between my 12-year-old, who you would think the 12-year-old would be more confident and the 5-year-old would be, the one shaking out of his boots, but it was the complete opposite. And I tried to project that into different areas of life. And what I came up with is, my son, being 5 years old, didn't have enough time to develop the primal instinct or the primal fear of guns. He doesn't hear about all the terrible things that are going on in television. The kids aren't talking about it at school. Unlike my daughter, she sees the news. Kids are talking about it at school. She talks about terrorism. She's heard of all these wars. So this has become more primal and instinctual to her. And we know, and she knows, that guns, you hear the sound of a gun, naturally you want to run, or you're looking for danger or something like that. So she's had time to develop this primal/instinctual fear, and it's something that you don't have to think about. It's just natural. Kind of like, you hear a dog barking at night and you're walking down the street. Instinctually, you don't have to say, I need to be scared of this. I need to do something. It just happens, right? Your body kind of just takes over intuitively. And then there's another level of fear I was thinking about too, and I'll come back into what I call an internal dialogue, and this will all kind of mesh together, at least I hope anyway. There's another fear. I was watching one of these singing reality shows, and this guy gets up there and he's literally shaking too. You can hear it in his voice and his hands. He's holding the mic, and he gives his story and his background, and he starts to sing, and he's got the voice of an angel. And it took him 5 years, I think he was 34, 35, something like that. It took him 5 years of signing up for this TV program, and he would rip it up each year, year after year. Didn't have the courage to actually do it. He gets out there, he sings, sounds like an angel, blows the judges away, blows the audience away. Everybody's in tears, standing ovation, mom in the background, crying her tail out. They bring mom out, congratulate, they're hugging, everybody's just on their feet. And this guy is absolutely elated. And they ask him, why on earth haven't you been out here doing this? How have you been hiding your voice like this for so long? And he said, well, everybody kept telling me I'd come out here and embarrass myself. And I would fail. And I would just be a huge embarrassment to my family and all these different things that he started to hear, right? And I thought, that was projected fear. See, that was fear of other people being projected onto him. And he took that fear and it became an internal dialogue for himself. And he started to repeat it to himself. Well, maybe I'm going to go out there and fail. Maybe I am going to embarrass myself. Maybe this isn't in my cards to be a singer. Maybe I don't have a good voice. Maybe my life will come to an end if I do this, like everybody is telling me, right? So that wasn't necessarily a primal or an instinctual fear, like, a baby instinctually will learn at a very quick rate not to touch fire or something like that. This had to have some kind of internal dialogue and a projected fear. And the reason why I thought about that and how it ties into business is that a lot of potential entrepreneurs, great potential entrepreneurs out there, just like yourself, don't attempt a business or don't really go after a business because of projected fear of everybody else telling you can't do it, how hard it is, too much competition, takes too much money, too much education. All these reasons why they can't do it, they project onto you why you can't do it. And then you have an internal dialogue reinforcing all that, right? And I remember when I first started my business, I own a cleaning business. I do very well for myself. But when I first started my cleaning business, I had all this projected fear coming at me from everywhere. My family members laughed at me, literally laughed at me and said, you can't start a business. You can't do that. Now, I'm talking about from scratch, no money, no real experience, just drive, okay? And I had sales reps, people who were actually in the cleaning industry that sold cleaning supplies, telling me why I couldn't start a cleaning business. Now, these people would be potentially selling me things if I grow and become successful, and they're telling me you can't do it. Can't find good help, there's not enough money, too much competition, all their projected fears as to why they were employees making somebody else's dreams come true, trying to put them on to me. See, but my self-dialogue was completely different. My dialogue was, that doesn't apply to me. That doesn't apply to me at all. I'll give you another example of this. And this is why I think that I've become more successful than some of the people around me. I remember I was training to be a junior broker at GE Financial Assurance. Now, a little bit of background about me, I barely got a high school diploma when I was 20 years old. I failed almost every class. I was just kind of pushed through school. But needless to say, I landed a job at GE Financial Assurance, and to keep the job, you've got to get a Series 6 license. And that basically means I could sell mutual funds, do customer service in mutual funds. And I also got a life and health license, so I can sell life insurance. So I could start doing things with investments, right, on a simple level. And all my managers came to me. I had 3 managers, and then many employees around me. They kept telling me it's all right if I fail the first time I take the test. You only need to get a 70, but it's okay if you fail the first time. Most people do. It's all right. You just take it again. Just make sure you learn and practice the first time. And I'm thinking to myself, that doesn't apply to me. I don't know what happened with you, but I'm not only going to pass this test, but I'm going to kick some ass on this test. And I was so confident about that, maybe a little arrogant. I don't know. I didn't feel that projected fear as if it was something that had to be mine. I didn't have to own their fear, but I did have to own my accomplishments. I had to own my actions. And so I pushed that aside and I started betting other people in my class, the people who were being trained and on board, but you had to pass this test to get a permanent position with the company. I started betting people around me, people with college degrees, people who had a financial background, who's going to get the highest test score, right? Again, barely high school graduate here. And I felt so confident that I was going to do well that I did extremely well. I scored an 86. Not the best, but I scored an 86 on a very hard financial exam with no background in finance. And I think the next highest score was a 90. This guy was brilliant. So there's a reason why he beat me. But I lost the $10, but I passed the exam, and the managers there were just all astounded, like, how on earth did you do this? Because most of the other people in the class, they did fail. And I think they did take one of those three categories of fear, which is the projected fear, and took it as an internal dialogue and said, yeah, well, I can do this again if I fail, right? I just can't think that way. I can't focus and function in life that way. But how many times have you seen one of those singing programs or something where the people go on there, they're just scared to death to do it, and they go out there and they blow the crowd away, and you're in tears, right? Because they finally conquered their fear. And for me, being an entrepreneur, I had to conquer a lot of fears, real fears, healthy fears, but I had to conquer them. Some of it was just blind ambition. I had no concept of failure, really. I just didn't think failure was an option for me. I know that sounds like a cliche, but I literally did not think I could fail. Because when I saw all those buildings where I was living, I saw dollar signs. I didn't see buildings. I literally saw dollar signs, and I felt like I was a kid in Candyland. I was just driving around going, wow, look at that high-rise building. Bet you there's a lot of money being made there. Wow, look at that office building. Look at that medical facility. Look at that facility. I wonder how much somebody's making to do that. And how can I do it? I wasn't thinking I'm not going to find employees. It's too many competition. In fact, I'll be a little bit honest with you here. Some of that projected fear was internalized because I did start doing research on how much competition was in the area. In the area that I was living in, there was a little over 300 janitorial companies. 300. And those are the people listed. There's tons of moms and pops that don't have business license, don't have insurance, don't have a bunch of stuff, right? And they are out there too. So, 300 plus. I was like, wow, there is actually a lot of competition out here. Maybe there is something to what these folks were saying to me. But again, I had to back off of that and said, wait, that doesn't apply to me. I am going to be successful despite them. There's plenty of room. There's plenty of opportunity. There's plenty of business out there for all of us. And I tell you what happened within a year, less than a year actually. I was making over $100,000. Started with nothing, no money, no real experience. I didn't have connections in the industry. I didn't know people out there because I'd moved there. So I didn't have any deep roots or people that I can just, turn to and say, hey, can I clean your office building? I actually just went out there and started networking, started talking to people. I remember there was a time I was driving down the street and I saw these group of guys getting ready to go boating. And I jumped out of my car, handed them my business cards, said, look, this is what I do. This is who I am. If you ever need any help, let me know. Crazy, right? But I didn't have fear. I had blind ambition to succeed. And a couple weeks later, one of those guys called me. He was a local sheriff. And there was a Walmart being developed in the area, and they needed a contractor for their cleaning services. Guess who got the contract? Yours truly. And see, had I listened to my family, had I listened to those sales reps, had I listened to all those things that I saw on the internet, had I listened to all those other people and things in life, had I listened to, some of my own failures, like not barely making it through high school. I failed every class. They just pushed me through. You know, not that I wasn't, smart enough to do it. I just didn't apply myself. I was bored to death in school, but that'd be another blog at another time. But learning how to change the internal dialogue is really the focus of this here. Another example, and we'll switch into how to change this dialogue here. I was at one of the world's largest janitorial conventions in Vegas not too long ago. And one of my business partners and I were having this nice, beautiful steak dinner. And this couple, or a couple of people next to us, I'm a natural people person. I like people. So, hey, how you doing? Introduce myself. What are you guys doing here? Because they had little badges on. So I figured they were part of some kind of convention or show too. Turns out they were a part of some kind of banking group dealing something with credit cards. And, they asked naturally what I do. And I told them I'm an entrepreneur. I own several small cleaning businesses that make up larger cleaning businesses. And I do well for myself, and I've got X amount of employees, and I enjoy it, so on and so forth. And the guy that I was talking to, smart guy. I'm no smarter than him. I don't think I'm any smarter than any of you watching this video. But smart guy, right? And he's telling me what he does and how much he sells for this company and how long he's been there. He was there almost 10 years. And he turned to me and said, I can never do what you do. And I said, why? He said, because I've got a mortgage. I've got a wife. I've got a daughter. I've got a car note. I could never go out and start my own business. Now take that exact same scenario, right? He had so much projected fear. He believed all that hype. He's already in sales and he's successful at the company he's at. He's already got 90% of what he needs. You've got to sell your product or service to be successful, right? So he's already got the talent to do it, but he's got this projected fear that he's got the internal dialogue. I've got a mortgage, I've got a wife, I've got a car note, I've got a daughter. Now, I'm not saying those aren't real fears and that you just should quit your job and go out there and start a cleaning business or whatever entrepreneur endeavors that you have. But I looked at him and said, I've got a wife and 3 kids, a couple of car notes sitting on mortgage, and payroll and taxes. I pay more in taxes than, anyways. I've got all these things, and those are the exact reasons why I can never work for anybody. See, he thought he had safety in his job, right? And it gave him some sense of satisfaction. But how many of you have lost your job and you had nothing to do with it? Some of you deserved it. Obviously, I've deserved getting fired from a job before. But truthfully, how many people across the world, how many people that in America have lost their jobs because of mergers and acquisitions, businesses going out of business, new management coming in and restructuring things, automation, for whatever the reason, job carnage is happening everywhere. And my internal dialogue is, I want to feed my family the way I want to feed my family. I want to make the money I want to make. If I want to raise, I literally go out and say, I want that building right there, and I go to work on it. And my internal dialogue of that fear is completely different. Same set of circumstances. In fact, mine's a little bit more precarious because I have more kids, right? I've got more risks involved. And for me, the more risk I have involved, it's more reason why I have to conquer those fears and be an entrepreneur. Because I have to determine how much money I make. I have to determine how much time I wanted to spend working, how much time I want to spend with my kids, my wife, whatever the situation is. I have to be in control of that. And so I use his same set of situations, but I change that fear, that internal and that projected dialogue of fear, into something completely different, and I turn it into opportunity. I turn it into the compelling reason. I make it my why. I make it my must. I make it everything I have to do to be successful. So I know there's a lot of you out there that want to try different things. It could be a cleaning business. It could be a car dealership. You name it. Selling cat litter. I don't care what it is. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to take these 3 categories of fear and use them against you. See, primal or instinctual fear is learned at some point, usually at a young age. And that can also be coupled with projected fear, okay? And then that becomes internal dialogue. So you can learn these things. Some of these projected fears and internal dialogues that are fears can also become primal instincts if you teach yourself that. So, for example, if you're constantly telling yourself that you're scared of dogs, nothing's ever happened, but you're scared of dogs because you heard somebody getting bitten, every time you see a dog, you will instinctually be scared. It will become a primal fear for you. You won't have to think, oh, there's a dog, I'm scared. It will be natural for you because you've taken that projected fear, you've internalized it, you've said it so many times to yourself, it becomes natural, it becomes instinctual for you. Don't fall victim to doing that. Now, there's some natural healthy fears of fire and danger. Somebody yells fire or look out, you're going to jump or whatever the situation is. I'm not talking about that type of fear. I'm talking about the fear that keeps you from accomplishing everything in life that you deserve, everything in life that you need, everything in life that you want. And that has been weighing heavily on my mind the last few days, last couple of weeks really. And I just wanted to share that with you before I went to bed tonight and hope that you can grasp something out of this to take action to do whatever it is that you need to do in your life to overcome any of those obstacles, any level of fear that you have in your life. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon with another topic. Thanks.